testify on the resolutions, the resolution section. So we'll go ahead and go to the last call. Counting down 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one to testify on the resolutions.
Ms. Clerk, please call all 3 resolutions. We will hear brief remarks from each of the applicants in the order listed on the agenda. And then members will have 2 rounds of 3 minutes to question each of the applicants. Ms. Clerk, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before you is Resolution 25-208, appointing Kelson Kawanoi Batangan to fill the vacancy on the council for the remainder of the 2025-2027 term. Resolution 25-209, appointing Carolee Kamikona to fill the vacancy on the council for the remainder of the 2025 to 2027 term. And Resolution 25-210, appointing an individual to fill the vacancy for the Kahului residency area for the remainder of the 2025 to 2027 term. And that person being considered is Virgilio Leo Agolicol.
Can I take one? Can I take that one? Can I?
We filled these walls wall to wall. Shame on Yuki. Everyone shouted together, and that would include Patangalan.
Okay. I'm checking on whether we can take a break at this point first.
Chair, would you like to close public testimony on the resolutions?
Okay, that's one of the questions I had. Members, any objections to closing public testimony on the resolutions? So ordered. Now, I'd like to know at what point can we take a lunch break? Do we have to call one of them up first? Okay. I'd like to call up Kelson Kawanoi Batangan, the first applicant. Mr. Batangan, please provide up to 3 minutes of introductory remarks. Members, you'll each have 2 rounds of 3 minutes for questioning. Yep, you can sit there. And then after this round, we're going to take you want to take like a 45-minute lunch? How long?
I don't necessarily have a preference for how long lunch is going to be, but starting at 1:30, as I was explaining to you earlier, my son has Student of the Month, so I won't be back until about 2:30. But I can, please don't wait for me to come back if you guys all want to continue.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the body? Member Paulton.
I got a lunchtime meeting with my Lahaina economic group.
What time? I mean, in Lahaina?
Oh, virtual. It's virtual.
Okay, so from what time to what time?
12 to 1:30.
1:30. Okay, everybody, are you okay with coming back at 1:30? Okay. Do you want us to make it 2:30?
I would love that, but I don't want to hold this up anymore. So whatever works for everybody is fine for me. Thank you.
Is 2:30 too long, everybody?
I'm okay with 2:30.
I won't be here at 2:30 because I have an appointment, but I could be online possibly.
Okay, you could be online. Okay. Remember, members, it's only to ask questions today. We're not going to make any decisions. Yes, Member Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair. So we'll do both our rounds with Mr. Batangan now before
Yeah, because we have to. Yeah, we have to start discussion.
And then the other 2 candidates will be after lunch.
Yeah, after lunch.
Okay.
2:30.
2:30.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay with everybody? All right, let's get started.
Unless we don't finish with Mr. Batangan before lunch, everyone there, 2-3 minutes, we can continue, right?
Right. Okay, everybody got that? We don't know how long this is going to take, so why don't we start going right to left? You the others? Why?
Because I want to hear their answers.
Oh, why not? We're here to please. Wait, let me see why are you looking at me? Oh, yeah. Okay, we're going to start questions from Mr. Sinansi that way after Mr. Batangan has provided his opening remarks, okay? Sorry. That's how that's how we operate, you know, very flexible. Mr. Batangan, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Aloha Chair Lee and members of the County Council. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. We are here under difficult and solemn circumstances, and I want to begin by acknowledging the immense loss felt by our community and this council following the passing of Councilmember Tasha Kama. Her commitment to public service and the people of Maui Nui was extraordinary, and her absence is deeply felt. For the record, my name is Kahului Batangan. I'm the oldest son of Reuben Batangan and Lila Eldridge. My father is from Ele'ele on the island of Kauai, where my grandfather worked as an irrigation specialist on the McBride plantation. My grandfather, Epifanio Batangan, was from San Nicolas, which is in the Ilocos Norte region of the Philippines. He immigrated to Hawaii as a Sakata in 1946. My grandmother, Christina Batangan, was born on the McBride plantation, but raised in Bakara, also in Ilocos Norte. She moved back to Hawaii after World War II. My mom is from Maui, and through her, I trace my mo'okuauhau to Papa and Wakea, and my roots in central Maui to the very first residential development in Kahului. Ohana Eldridge is traditionally from Lahaina, but my branch of the family moved to central Maui when my great-grandfather, Amos Eldridge, became a luna at the Pu'unene plantation. He and my great-grandmother, Emmeline Eldridge, then built their home in the first increment of Dream City, and my grandparents, Amos and Julia Eldridge, built their home in the second. My parents also made their home in second increment, where I grew up. My family and I now live in the house that my grandparents built, which makes my daughters the 5th generation of our family to live in Kahului. I tell you this because it speaks to the love I have for the district, the deep roots I have in this community, and the fact that I think growing up in Kahului was a privilege. Those are things I know Councilmember Kama saw in me, and why I think she knew I'd make thoughtful decisions from a place of love for our home, our friends, and Lahui, like she did. As you know, Councilmember Kama requested that I finish the remainder of her term. It is an incredible honor, and I would accept this kuleana with the deepest humility and respect for her legacy. If confirmed, my purpose would be to serve as a steward of her policies and ensure a seamless continuation of service. I commit to honoring the trust the voters placed in her by continuing the work and projects she established and positions she articulated while in office. The voters made their stance very clear in the last election and supported her positions and perspective. My goal is to honor her memory, respect the wishes of the constituents, and ensure this important office remains active and effective until the next election. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sinansi.
Mahalo, Chair, and mahalo, Mr. Batangan, for being here today to answer our questions. For clarification, you just mentioned that Tem Kama asked you to continue her current role. What about for the next term?
So the commitment I made to Councilmember Kama was that I would be available, and if appointed, I would serve out the rest of this term. I have not made a decision as to whether or not I would seek re-election if appointed. Okay. I think there are assumptions, given that I had previously run for public office in 2018, and that I had had conversations with her about potentially running to succeed her in 2028. But when I ran in 2018, I was single. I've since gotten married and now have very young kids. And so with that comes other kuleana. You know, I had indicated that I'd be open to running in 2028, but by then, you know, my kids would be older. Hopefully my parents would be retired. You know, my wife would be more established in her position, and I would have had time to achieve what I wanted to at the MPO. That's not true, and so I still don't know what I would do in 2028
Okay.
or 2026.
Thank you for that answer. Sorry, 3 minutes. As one of the testifiers had mentioned, that immediately after this appointment, we will have the mayor's bill to vote upon. What is your take on Bill 9?
Thank you for the question. So, as I mentioned earlier, I would look to the positions that Councilmember Kama had herself established. And, you know, she had concerns about Bill 9 in its current form. That's why she voted against it in committee. However, since it has passed out of committee, a TIG report has been published with recommendations on how to mitigate some of those concerns. I would happily work with members of this body to turn those recommendations into accompanying legislation, and my preference would be that the two be taken up together. But since Bill 9 is already scheduled as a standalone bill, the concerns that she had, and some of which I share, still stand, and so I would not be able to support Bill 9 as a standalone bill in its current form.
Thank you. And real quick, do you support deed restrictions for projects that receive affordable housing funds?
I don't know how to answer that, because I think deed restrictions can take different forms, and I have some thoughts on different versions of those restrictions. I do think, oh,
You can finish.
okay. I do think that we should consider a bunch of different options to keep affordable housing units affordable.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Member Uhajans.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Batangan. Usually my first question is, why are you running for this seat? But I think for your case, we already heard your answer. So I'll move on to my next one, which is, what's your opinion on affordable housing? I guess to follow up on Member Shane. And what can we do to better increase our amount of affordable housing?
I think we need to take a more comprehensive approach than just Bill 9. I would be in favor of pushing forth affordable housing at every income level. And I recognize that the different tiers on the affordability ladder come with different financing tools, so there would probably have to be a different policy prescription to advance, you know, the different types of units that we want to see in our community. I also think that legislatively we can take more action on, say, the Title 19 update to help the community have clarity on when, where, and in what manner it would be appropriate to develop housing, not just affordable types, but of any income level.
Okay, thank you. How do you approach decision-making? We heard from Mr. Whitaker about your time spent on Charter Commission, but if we could hear from you, how do you approach your decision-making?
I generally start by listening. You know, I recognize that I don't have all of the answers. And I try to distill what I can from what we're hearing. Oftentimes with, you know, the positions that I'm in now, with the MPO, when I was with DOT, or doing recovery work, I would try to figure out what are the unmet needs, what are the projects or policies we can advance to address those unmet needs, and how can we align resources to make those things come to light.
Thank you. How do you handle conflict and, more importantly, its resolution?
Try not to take things personally. That's what I've been doing in the back as I've been listening to testimony. for and against me. And I recognize that a lot of times it's not about me. Some of the testimony was, because I asked people to come and share perspectives of what it would be like to work with me. But I do recognize that this is much bigger than just me. It's about Tasha. It's about this community. And so I try not to take that too personally. I apologize, I got sidetracked.
That's okay. It was just conflict resolution, but I think my time is up. But for this job, as you know, we have to deal with so much conflict. And conflict is inevitable in this job and in our life. And so for me, approaching resolution is important. Because if you anger every side, then it is difficult to come to the table in a neutral perspective. But I will hold. I heard my bell. Thank you.
Kaunoe, don't worry about getting sidetracked. Imagine when you're 77 years old. Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Chair. Kaunoe I've got to work with you a little bit on MPO. What was the biggest challenge when you took that over? Because there was a previous director, and then you stepped into that role.
I think it was creating a vision for the organization. The MPO had not always synergized its efforts with the county or with the state. There were times when it was working in isolation. And so trying to figure out how we can complement or supplement the efforts of our partner agencies to move things forward, understanding what unique resources the MPO has that we could leverage, or what expertise that we could bring to our county and state partners. Like, for example, one of the things we're trying to do is take on the upfront planning responsibilities for some of the CIP projects, specifically related to complete streets, so that the engineers at Public Works can have data that they can then design around. So we would do the planning work that we specialize in, and they could do the design and engineering work that they specialize in, and then together we could move forward.
Thank you for that explanation. And yeah, I think you did a remarkable job of taking over and bringing structure to it.
Thank you.
That's really my only question for now.
Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Batangan, for putting your name forward. This process is tough, and I appreciate your effort. So I told myself I'm going to look at this process through a policy-only lens, all right? And I'm going to just try to keep it in that way. I know a lot of emotions, my emotions, I'm checking because this is such a difficult process in the situation we're in. I'll start off with softball. What's your platform?
Thank you for that question. I'd like to share the vision that I had shared with Councilmember Kama back when I applied for the Charter Commission. So she and I first started talking about our shared values and vision back in 2021 when I applied to be the council or the Kahului representative on the Charter Commission. And this is what I said to her then. My vision is for a thriving, sustainable island community where Aina and Kama'aina flourish together. The way we'd go about doing that is by building a vibrant future for Maui Nui, by preserving our unique culture, stewarding our lands, building economic opportunity, and investing in our people. So that's what I had put together when I first ran for public office in 2018. It's what I shared with council member, and why I think she appointed me to, or nominated me to serve on the Charter Commission for Kahului. It's what guided me, in my roles with this administration and in the MPO, and it's what would guide me if selected or appointed to this body.
Mahalo for your response. I think the Venn diagram shows that you and I have some common ground, which is good. I'm going to get into something a little more controversial because I want to kind of feel your opinions on how you would have voted. Now, this is hypothetical, so understand that, take it with a grain of salt. What's your opinion of some of our more controversial policies? YLS 670 was a pretty controversial development. How would you have voted hypothetically?
Thank you for that question. I gotta say, I hadn't followed too many of the council's bills outside of the transportation and realm, given my role with MDOT or the MPO. But I can share how I would approach this. I would look to see how it conforms with the general plan and the community plans. I would look to see what kind of commitments were made by the county and by the developers. I would look to see what kind of, how the project, this one or any specific or any other one, would address the unmet needs in our community. And I would look to the people of those communities for some guidance. And then I'd also like to note that because of the unique situation with Tasha's passing, I would also look to see what kind of policies or positions she had established when she was with us.
My time's up. Mahalo for your response. Thank you, Chair.
Member Paulton.
Okay, wait, before you guys start my time, I just want to do the disclaimer. We only got 3 minutes, so if I got what I need, I'm just going to cut you off, and I don't mean to.
Understood. And I'm sorry to the other members for lengthier answers.
Like Member Kama recommended you for her slot. Have you thought of who you might recommend to fill your slot on the MPO, or have you made a decision that you were not going to step down?
I'll take the second question first. So I have asked our federal regulators and the chair and vice chair of the policy board whether or not it'd be possible to stay. If appointed to this body, could I serve in both? And if not, would it be possible for me to come back? I was told no on both accounts. So if appointed to this body, I would resign from that. I have not given thought to who would replace me on the MPO, or at the MPO. But I do know that the chair and vice chair of the board have been discussing it. And so, the decision rests with the policy board, and I would respect that it's theirs.
No recommendation then?
No.
Okay, and then, so you will be taking a significant pay cut?
Yes, I would.
Okay. The next question I had, one of the testifiers, Keola Whitaker, praised your independent judgment on the Charter Commission. But here, you said you'd like to be a steward of Member Kama's policies, positions she articulated. What did she ask you on the Charter Commission, to steward the policies she articulated, or to be an independent judgment for community needs?
No, so on the Charter Commission, she trusted me and my...
For this, did she trust you and your...
I would like to think so. So the commitment I made to Councilmember Kama when I agreed to be available for this is that, if appointed, I would continue the work that she had started. I think she reached out because she trusted my general values and vision, and there was, enough similar alignment there. But it was me when I gave my response. I said that I would continue the work that she started.
What if she didn't articulate, and have you made any commitments if you win? Or not win, but whatever gets selected?
No, that's all I've committed to doing. So if she has not taken a position for herself, then I would feel more liberated to either vote my district or vote my conscience.
So you didn't make any commitments if you get selected as to who you would hire or anything?
No, but I would like to keep the current staff, given that my goal is to continue the work that she started. It'd be really helpful for me to have the people that she leaned on when she started that work.
Rather than your own independent judgment?
Yes. So I guess I would say that they are somewhat aligned. But yes, I would like to keep the current staff.
Thank you. That was my time, yeah.
Yeah, that's your time. And then Vice Chair Sugimura, you'll be the last one before lunch,
Okay, very good.
okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much for putting yourself and your family out to this scrutiny and position. Based upon the experiences that you have and listening to the testifiers, I want to say that it sounds like you had a big role in terms of the wildfire of 2023, in terms of healing of the behaviors or what was happening in the community, especially from what Lori Lay said. So can you talk about that in terms of the health and social service aspect, what you brought in terms of policy and planning, because I think that's what we're talking about, and how you reach the community?
Thank you for that question. So in recovery work, the county adopted what's called the National Disaster Recovery Framework, which basically means that the federal government, the state government, and the county government all created parallel organizations so that we'd be able to coordinate with each other pretty seamlessly. Health and social services fell into this weird area because we didn't have a natural lead, given that there's no local Department of Health and no local Department of Education. So I was asked to be a coordinator along with Chris Kish from the Department of then Housing and Human Concerns. Given my past working with the feds and with the state and the county to align resources, they thought I'd be able to help. I'd be able to navigate, the challenges there. So we brought everybody together and we tried to figure out what are the unmet needs, what are possible solutions given the makeup, of our different organizations, and then how can we bring those to light. I have to say, I did coordinating work, but most of the heavy lifting was done by our partners, the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, the State Department of Health, the county, or the State Department of Human Services, and the County Department of Housing and Human Concerns. They were responsible for all of the execution. I just organized the meetings in which we would all come together, figure out who was going to do what, how are we going to provide resources so that they'd be able to do those projects or programs, and then making sure that we are able to communicate that to the public.
Okay, very good. I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to ask a question for Gabe Johnson. What are we going to do about the Lanai Ferry once you leave the MPO?
Okay. Well, I asked Kaunoa Batangan that same question. I'm afraid not only do we give them a raise, but there's also work to be done that needs to be done on there. Now, then I ran to the mayor and I said, Mayor, what? They said the show will go on. How's that?
He's answering your question.
Sure.
No, I asked actually him on behalf of the question that
All
you
right,
would be asking.
I was like, why am I getting
Kaunoe.
drilled here?
Sorry.
They think they're going to be selected, but
So
he's up for a nomination. But can you give a short answer?
So we already programmed the ferry on the long-range plan and the transportation improvement program. The line items already exist for funding. So as soon as the County Department of Transportation finishes the environmental assessment, it'll be eligible for federal funding, and the policy board can then choose to allocate money. But everything's already queued up.
Thank you in behalf of the community and Member Johnson.
Okay, members, we're now going to take a break until 2:30.
Okay.
So, and we will continue, then you'll have your second round, okay? Meeting in recess. Will the special council meeting of November 20th, 2025, please reconvene? Ms. Clerk, was the last person Vice Chair Sugimura, or did she have more time?
Nope.
You're
Vice
done.
Chair was done, so we're on to you, Chair.
I don't really have any burning questions at this time, so let's go on to Member Sinensi. Round two.
Thank you, Chair, for my second round opportunity. And mahalo, Mr. Kawanoi. Member Kama supported the charter amendment to create the East Maui Water Authority. And she also moved to amend the amendment to include Department of Hawaiian Homeland's representative on the board. Should the county acquire and manage the East Maui irrigation system?
Thank you, Member Senensi, for the question. I don't know if I have enough information to answer that at the point. Like, I don't know what it would cost to acquire. I don't know what it would cost to maintain versus what it is we pay for it now. But that's how I would evaluate the question if it came up.
Okay, as you know, we created the East Maui Water Authority to take over the water leases of the Ko'olau watershed reserve.
Yes.
Okay, so it's okay. Thank you for that. My second question was, in public policy work as we do, balancing competing interests normally includes balancing competing interests. When considering environmental and cultural protections on housing development, how would you prioritize what takes precedence?
Thank you for that question as well. Yeah, that's a hard one. I expressed the vision, right? A thriving, sustainable island community where Aina and Kama'aina flourish together. So there is always tension whenever you're talking about conservation and development. I think you have to evaluate the projects as they come up, consider what kind of natural and cultural impacts are being proposed, look at how you may be able to mitigate some of those impacts. If not, what are you able to live with? And then evaluate that based on the trade-off of, the benefits of that development.
Okay, thank you for that. Do you have any top two biggest issues that you would like to work on should you be selected?
I'd primarily be focused on continuing the work that Councilmember had already established. So those would be the things that she took up in HLU.
You would want to continue to chair the HLU committee? Should you be?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be looking to rock the boat in terms of leadership or council committee chairmanships. The commitment was to continue her work, and that's a lot easier if the structure of the council remains as it was when she left it. And so, yes, I would like to step into the role that she had vacated.
Okay, and I'm not sure if that's the process that we followed from past precedents when we did lose a council member, but thank you for those answers. Thank you, Chair.
I see Member Uhajan's just arrived, but Member Cook, are you ready?
So my second round of questions. You have an academic and practical training in public administrative policy and urban planning. How do you use that skill set to make the county processes simpler and more transparent for ordinary residents who are trying to build housing or start a small business?
Yeah, navigating the tension between simple and transparent has sometimes been difficult, but we want to do your best to balance the two. The way I've gone about it with the MPO is by having a clearly articulated process so that people know what to follow, and then making sure that you stick to what you say you're going to do, so that there's precedent set and people are able to plan accordingly. So if serving on the council, that's the same approach I would take. Make sure that there's clear expectations and everybody knows what process they would have to follow so that there's no surprises.
Thank you. My second question would be, what's your feeling on using technology to improve, there again, simplicity and transparency in our government? And from your experience on MPO and working in administration, do you feel that you could help facilitate that?
Thanks. So I am all for adopting technology when it's appropriate. All technology is a tool, and so we have to make sure that we're utilizing it in a way that's beneficial. At the MPO, one of the things that we're trying to do is procure a platform so that we can have an e-TIP, Electronic Transportation Improvement Program. Right now, we have a paper copy that needs to be updated anytime we want to change the way that we allocate federal investments to our transportation projects. That then needs to be transmitted into another format that complies with the way the state maintains their STIP, the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program. Having one platform that can seamlessly update all of the changes we make on Maui into the state's program would be a lot easier, save staff a lot of time. I think that would be an example of how we would look to utilize technology in a more efficient way.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Member Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for joining us after lunch, Mr. Batangan. Do you believe water is a public trust?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I want to pivot now. The next question is in regards to your district. What are your biggest needs that Kahului has right now? What is your priority for your district?
This is one where I might deviate, or I don't know if it's deviate, because I don't know if Councilmember Kama had established positions on economic revitalization for Central Maui. But there are plans in the county for TOD development along the Wailuku Kahului corridor. And I think there are opportunities to utilize the code or other policy tools to try to allow for that to happen. For example, like enterprise zones, tax credits, allowing for mixed residential commercial use. Those are the kind of things that I would look for the district specifically, so that we could increase housing, but also increase job opportunities and public transit.
Okay. What would, if you were to take on this position, what would be your first action in office?
Get a sense from staff on where council member had left off on her priorities.
So what I'm hearing is that you would probably just pick up exactly where Councilmember Kama left off. Is that my understanding?
I think maybe after budget, I would start to feel a little bit more empowered to, venture into areas where she hadn't already established positions. But day one, it would be trying to figure out where she had left off.
Okay, I'm gonna pivot one more time. As you can tell, and as you know, sometimes the things we tackle are very contentious. Some people say potato, some people say potato, and all day long you can go back and forth. How does that weigh on you? How do you decide on which voice from the community do you listen to? Who holds water?
I don't think it's necessarily who holds water. The way I would approach it is which arguments resonate most, less so than who's making the argument.
Like that resonates most to yourself?
This would be a tricky one since it would be finishing an expiring term. It would have to be a balance of myself and with the council member.
Yourself and the,
Sorry, council member Kama.
okay, I see what you're saying. You're trying to balance all that. Okay, that's my time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Member Paulton?
Oh, I'll yield to member Uu Hodgins as she just returned.
Let the record show that Member Uu Hodgins is now with us again. Ready for your questions?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Member Paulton. You are currently with MPO. One of the things I think Kahului faces, and if you were to move into this seat would be helpful, I'd assume, is some of the traffic congestion out in Kahului. So tell me how you would kind of help ease the traffic congestion in that area. And considering your partnerships with the state, how would that work best for your community?
Thank you for the question. So through the MPO, we look at transportation planning island-wide. The metropolitan area is the Wailuku Kahului area, but it doesn't really make sense to just focus on central Maui. I think creating networks of throughout the island so that people can move between where they live, where they work, or where, everywhere else they need to go makes sense. So in terms of transportation planning, it's not just Kahului that I would focus on. It would be where the corridors. The Transportation Improvement Program and the Long Range Plan actually call out quite a few projects that would help ease transportation. And then I would also look to a study being conducted by MEMA. So they're trying to use AI to model natural disasters, like a hurricane should hit coming from this direction, a fire here, a tsunami there, an earthquake.
Genesis?
Yeah. I actually don't remember the name of the study. But looking at where, like, what traffic patterns would be given different natural disasters, where are the bottlenecks, where do we need to invest? So in addition to the long-range transportation plan and the transportation improvement program, I would also look to see what other needs there are based on that study as well.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kama obviously left not only a big hole on these desks, but definitely in our hearts. And I know you're gonna, if selected, have to find a balance like anybody else who feels the shoes. For you in particular, I think it's even more heavy because she asked you specifically, but tell me about a balance that you're gonna have to strike between how she felt on things and where you may differ and how you are going to balance your decisions going forward if selected.
I think one of the areas where she and I have a little bit of philosophic difference is going to be in the budget. I am much more concerned with the county's level of debt than I think she was. And I have stronger opinions on when and how we should finance projects than I think she did. So there will be a little bit of a balance there, evaluating the type of line items that she had pushed for and my reservations for the overall level of debt for the county.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Member Paulton?
Thank you. Same disclaimer. You can start. Do you believe in climate change?
Yes, I do.
Sea level rise?
Yes, I do.
What are your expectations of a chair, whether it be council or committee?
That's a good question. That they respect the rights of the minority while still facilitating the will of the majority.
Do you have any expectation that they be fair?
That's a tricky one. Because fair is interpreted so differently amongst different people. Like, it's hard to give an answer.
And you can give an example of what your definition of fair is.
Actually, I would go back to the definition of like what I would look for from a chair or a vice chair, or council chair or committee chair, that they respect the rights of the minority. That's the key part of what I think would be fair. Even if you disagree, are we still able to move on? Yeah.
So if one item that a chair agreed with was sped up and another item that a chair disagreed with was stalled, what would you call that?
I think I'd have to look at why. Because chairs do have discretion at moving things forward within their committee or in the body. When I first got into politics, it was U.S. Congress. I worked, in the Senate, and
Okay, I got your answer.
all the
Can
time.
I move on?
Right? Oh, please.
For the budget coming up,
Yes.
how much are you in, like, the difference between administration and the legislative branch? Because you have worked so far in the administrative branch, right?
I'm sorry, I don't think I follow the question. What do you mean, how much am I in the administration or legislation? Or
Like, how much can you identify, I guess, with the administration versus the legislative? Because you have been in the administrative branch, right?
Yes.
Maybe forget the budget part. Just let's focus on the administrative versus the legislative branch. Like your differences in approach to the job.
So yes, I have worked in both in different legislatures on the federal and county level, and I worked on the administrative side on the federal, state, and county level. So I have some experience in both. I guess the difference I see the roles is the legislature set policy and control the purse, and then the executive branch executes on those policies.
So you don't have any policy coming out of the gate that you would like to champion?
No, I would primarily like to champion the policies that Councilmember Kama had started.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess with your prevailing theme has been one to collaborate and to work with. In a committee that is very important or has been very important to Member Kama, as we've been hearing over the past 2 days, as well as knowing what the committee that she chaired, which is Housing Land Use. And you said you were interested in continuing that. So do you see any kind of policy that you may push forward for Kahului, or maybe Maui in general, along that committee?
Title 19 update.
Agree. It's long overdue.
Agreed.
Okay, that's it. Let's do that. And with your experience with the MPO, which is very important because every time we have a housing project, transportation is a big part of, the big picture. So how can you, with your experience and really expertise with what you've done with MPO, help to move the housing projects faster? I don't know, you can make it faster, but be better based with your experience.
I think it'd be by reaching out to the department and seeing what are the legislative needs, holding up the, the projects that they're prioritizing. There has been a tendency at times for certain projects to move forward, and because circumstances allowed for them to. But I would focus on where are the legislative bottlenecks that are preventing more comprehensive proposals from coming forth, and that's what I would try to work with the department to see if we can unleash.
Agree. Thank you. I like that. Unleash.
Okay, Kano, I do have a question for you.
Yes, Chair.
Are you able to conduct yourself in a professional, respectful manner and take the high road when being criticized by or confronted by an unruly testifier or angry colleague? How would you handle that?
I would do my best to conduct myself with patience and with grace. It's what Councilmember Kama was known for, and that is a part of her legacy as well. So it's something that I would strive to emulate. I think it's also very brave and radical in this time of extreme partisanship. And I think that allows for people to disagree but still come together.
Okay, thank you. So that concludes our interview of Kauanui Batangan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Ms. Clerk.
Chair.
Yes.
Is it okay to just ask a blanket question to all of the members? Like, if they get selected, are they free? Like, coming up, like
Sure.
in January, we might be taking up South Maui Community Plan. The budget is April through whatever. Like, have they kind of cleared their calendar in anticipation, or they will, or is it going to be an issue for like all the candidates? Because that's kind of a important part of it.
You can ask that. Is there another blanket question so you can prepare? Okay, you want to ask him?
The budget schedule from working with member Sugimura. I was going to ask for the majority of January to just go through the South Maui Community Plan, and I assume that you know the hours and things from having been a staffer over here. Are you going to be able to make the work commitments? Because, I guess you have to quit your other job.
Yes, I can commit to being here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Clerk.
Chair, the next applicant would be Carolee Kamekona.
Good afternoon, Ms. Kamekona. So whenever you're ready, you can start with sharing with us a little bit about yourself and why you applied for this job.
Alaha Awinala, Yako Kako, Chair Lee, council members, staff, and community. Ko'oino o Carolee Kamekona, noho wau ma kahului. No laila. Mahalo for the opportunity to be here today. My sincerest condolences to the Ohana Kama. Although we may have had different views politically, our belief in Keokua, our identity as Kanaka, and our pilina to Aina expanded far beyond those differences. My approach to this work comes from Kuleana, lived experience, and commitment to our people and our Aina. I am from Kiokaha Homestead on Mokuoke'awe, with Ohana from Kalapana and Kohala. I was raised in Hawaii and later in the San Francisco Bay Area, and my journey from a single mother raising 7 keiki to a Navy veteran with more than 2 decades of service to community advocacy has shaped how I lead and who I serve. I come from a place of cultural practice, preservation, and protection. My work in this community has included the preservation and protection of iwi kupuna, advocacy for aloha aina, and service within numerous organizations dedicated to housing justice, cultural rights, and stewardship of the shoreline. Today, I stand here not just as a candidate, but as someone who has worked alongside community, who has listened, and who carries a responsibility to ensure that decisions made in this chamber reflect our people, our values, and our 7 generations ahead of us. For me, policy is not just governance, it is legacy. We must steward it with intention. For every role I have taken in military service, nonprofit leadership, cultural preservation, and housing advocacy has led me to this moment of service. My past roles have required navigating federal systems, Hawaiian cultural protocols, community conflict, and high-stakes decision-making. And that experience allows me to step into this role prepared, not having to learn on the job. I did not go to Stanford. I don't have the ABCs behind my name that higher education offers. I'm not young anymore and not in the prime of my life. But in saying that, I hope those are not the determining factors or standards for running for office or judging the character of a person. I have lived experience, and that to me is more valuable than being book smart. Mahalo.
Thank you. Member Sinansi.
Thank you, Chair, and mahalo, Ms. Kamekona, for being here this afternoon. Testifiers this morning spoke to your community work, and one in particular was your dedication to the protections of our Hawaiian inventories and iwi kupuna. Can you explain the protection of iwi kupuna and why is this so important to Native Hawaiians?
Mahalo for that question. Culturally speaking, our iwi kupuna, as some of the testifiers had mentioned, is the most precious and cherished treasures we have in our culture. Because if it was not for them, we would not be here. We need the past to learn from. We need the present to build upon so that the future is better. So to Kanaka, our iwi kupuna, comes our ike, our kupuna ike, and everything that we hold within our na'au. So mahalo for that question.
Mahalo, Ms. Kamekona. The second question is, you yourself have said that you've been homeless and had some challenges with the housing affordability issue. And your work continues not just within the community, but also in our county office. Where do you see, I guess we just received the Eco Northwest report. Where do you see changes that need to be done moving forward with addressing our houseless community?
So thank you for that question. Yes, last year, thank you to the FEMA leases, I faced eviction. I had to hunt and scour for affordable housing. My question is always, what is affordable? I could not find it. It took me 7 months to the very edge of when we had to vacate the current shelter we were in, or the current housing we were in. So my son and I faced houselessness straight on because we were concerned, was that going to be our next life? The Eco Northwest says that there needs to be collaboration and there needs to be networking with all the agencies that deal with our marginalized community. Everyone is in a silo. Our communities don't know who does what and where and how. The access to them is not available to them because they have to go, our residents have to go to the services. And I believe it should be the other way around because a lot of our residents, they don't have transportation, they don't have technology, sometimes they don't even have identification. So services should need to go to them. And I believe that the Eco Northwest did provide some good comments and suggestions. But again, we need the administration, the agencies, and us here in council to all work together collaboratively. So mahalo.
Thank you, Chair.
Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for being with us, Ms. Kamekona. Yesterday and today, in fact, there was the mental health summit at the MAC. Hopefully, I think you went, Member Sanensi, hopefully maybe Ms. Kamekona, you can go as well, because it's supposed to do exactly that. Break down the silos and everybody talk stories and see what they provide and where the gaps in services are. But, so I appreciate that comment. And I appreciated your opening statement when you were talking about stewardship of this shoreline. You had several testifiers support you today, which I can appreciate too. But as I understand, they are planning to move a large encampment to the beaches of Paia without the support of the community, without the support of the family that goes there on a regular basis. So can you tell me where you're gonna find your balance there? As I understand, you're a rule follower, me too, and the stewardship of the shoreline. How can we better help our people so that we're not impacting the shoreline, but getting our people help and not negatively impacting a community that has, and I'm talking about the Paia community right now, that has valid concerns?
So thank you for that question. And I understand your community has many concerns having to deal with the Holomua Road encampment.
That's not the one I'm talking about, but yeah.
So I do know because I have been there. I have worked with them. I have done cleanup with them. We have ate. We have sat down and talked stories. To me, they are not hampering anybody in the area. They are not close to the shoreline.
Yeah, that's
but
not
I
the
think
one I'm
the
talking
best
about.
thing, and I think you're asking, and correct me if I'm wrong, how do we address that situation?
There's that one, and from what I understand, they're planning a big move next week during the holiday when the county is going to have a long weekend.
I've not heard about that. I know we are doing a Thanksgiving dinner, but I've not heard of any movement.
Okay.
But maybe I think to answer your question with regards to how do we address it, was that what you were asking?
Sure. And can you please tell me how you feel about that, if that's the case, and how that's going to impact our shoreline?
What I would say is I would like to work with the administration and follow through on what Council Members Senensi and Gay put forward with the RFA with Bill 111 and work to try and provide a place that our marginalized community can go to, can feel safe at, and not worry about trying to close their eyes and fall asleep and get stuff stolen from them.
I agree.
So I think if we were to look at some of the empty aina that is around, whether it be private or public or county, let's talk. Let's have that discussion and say, how can we put together a safe parking for our marginalized community?
I hear you on that. Thank you. And I don't disagree. We do need to have good outreach, which I'm hoping we can do. But I think there is some definite concerns, and maybe we can chat about this later. Maybe we
More
can.
than welcome.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
More than welcome.
Member Cook.
Thank you. Thank you for your willingness to serve and step into this position and for coming today. When you spoke deeply about, looking out, respecting, and taking care of our people, who do you include in that in our county when you say our people?
Hanaho, koninau ke olu. Again, your question.
Maui has a wide variety of people, Hawaiians, Filipinos, Koreans, everybody, from the plantation era and current, plus people who have moved here and lived here for a long time. How do you rate the weight of being able to take care of people? I heard your introduction and it sounded very Hawaiian and very honorable, but I'm saying that there's a whole lot of people in the community who are not Hawaiian, who also need homes and also need jobs. So how do you see yourself as a council member representing everybody?
Most definitely. We're all people of Maui. We're all residents of Maui. We all are part of this aina. So this body represents every single constituent within the county. Yes, I am Kanaka. Maybe sometimes I might be a little bit prejudiced, kalamai, but no, this body is for every single person.
Thank you for that. My next question, will you be participating in the Pledge of Allegiance as a council member? I always start each meeting.
I will pay respect to the flag because it is only right. So yes, I would stand.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Member Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Ms. Kamekona. It's good to see you, and thank you for putting your name on the list to serve. I'm going to jump right into some questions. It might be a little bit different than previous, but it's probably because I know you. But I want to talk about budget. What's some of your priorities that you would consider in the upcoming budget? What is your thing that you really want to move forward this upcoming budget?
Local housing for local people. First and foremost, we need to work on building affordable housing for our residents, for our people, so they stay home. Too many have moved since the fires. There are over 700,000 Kanaka in the diaspora. We need them to come home, and we need those that are here able to stay.
Thank you. Can you tell me some of the needs in your district specifically? What do you think your community needs right now?
This is going to be a little hard, but let me just say it this way. I see a lot of empty storefronts, a lot of empty warehouses, and a lot of empty commercial spaces within the Kahului area. And I believe repurposing them, whether it be for residents, whether it be for commercial, I have a couple of ideas that I believe would be economic generators to help Kahului and to help Maui. And I would like to see some of those come to fruition.
Thank you. Working on this floor, you follow. I'm sure you follow the budget quite every year. So I wanted to ask about our tax rates and the way we tier them. Do you have any suggestions, any opinions on property tax rates? Are they too high? Are they too low? Do you want to carve out? There's something that you want to speak on specifically our property tax rates?
First and foremost, I believe that our people, everybody that lives here, shouldn't have to accept or carry the burden of higher taxes. I would put that to where you have part-time residents who don't give back to the community, whose funds that they receive don't stay in our community and help build our economy. So I would say, yes, I do believe that non-owner occupied should be held at a higher standard tax-wise.
Thank you for that. No further questions, Chair.
Member Paulton.
Same disclaimer. You heard it before, right?
No.
Okay, I gotta say the disclaimer. We only have 3 minutes, so if I get the answer and I need to move on to the next question, I'm gonna just cut you off. Okay. Okay. Ready, set, go. Okay. So first question, what are your expectations of a chair, whether it be the council or a committee?
Someone who has the leadership and is fair.
And what is your definition of fair?
Listening, hearing all sides, and not coming in judgmental or a preconceived notion.
Okay. If you were to be selected, would you choose HLU or would you like to reorg?
Would I like to see a reorganization?
Or would you just choose the HLU committee? And
I would love to do the HLU committee. Are you kidding? That's what I advocate for, is housing. But if it is the desire of this body, yes, then reorganize. I'm just a little pawn here if I do get appointed. So I'll go with the body and the majority.
Okay. Next question. Do you believe in climate change?
Hanaho?
Do you believe in climate change?
Oh, yes.
Sea level rise?
Yes. I see it all the time going back and forth. Mile marker 13, 14.
So, do you have any policies coming out of the gate that you would be introducing?
Coming out of HLU?
Any policy whatsoever. It doesn't have to be related to housing or climate change. Do you have anything like ready to go, legislation, ordinance, resolutions?
I've been in discussion with several people on things that I think we should really improve on. Yes.
What are those things?
One, I believe in deed restriction, higher deed restriction, because it helps build economic stability and it helps our people to be able to build some kind of wealth.
Okay.
What are you looking at?
The clock.
Okay. Sorry.
Blanket question, have you cleared your schedule? You're able to commit to the upcoming year calendaring of full-time work? You would leave your current job?
My current job is being a mother. That's all I have, other than working with council members and NC, which, yes, most definitely, I'd have to give that up. But, yes,
So you
I'm
have
ready.
the full calendar?
No, I have an open calendar.
Open calendar?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Vice Chair Sugimura.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So as I asked the previous applicant, Kahului Council, this is regarding work with health and social services during the wildfire. So do you have any programs that you implemented or did for the 2023 wildfire victims?
That's a sore subject. Kalamai, and the reason I say that is because soon after the roads opened, it was hard to drive It was hard to drive those roads. But yes, I spent minimum 4 and 5 days a week going back and forth to Lahaina to support the hub for Na'aikani o Maui, which meant that I went around the island collecting supplies, collecting food, collecting clothes, having people from off island, from out of country, utilize my address to collect, and I would deliver.
Okay, thank you. So I have another question regarding what you said. I don't know who it was, but you talked about how you lost your home and working with FEMA.
I didn't lose my home. I was on the verge of losing it. In other words, I was evicted last year because of the FEMA leases, and I was given a certain amount of time that I had to vacate that home, and we came down to the very end before we had to
Okay, I'm sorry to
get
hear
out.
that. And the reason why I'm asking you this question, I don't mean to bring up something that's painful, that in your application, when it talks about your response, real property interests, if any kind in the state of Hawaii, and you put a RPT number, your name, as a home for home ownership. But you're saying you were renting?
I am a renter, yes.
But you never owned a home.
But, okay, so let me clarify. I think, are you asking about the property on the application that I possibly own? Is that what you're asking about?
It's what you said. So
Yeah, there's a real property, a TMK that's listed on my application.
Yes, you wrote a TMK.
Yeah, it is a TMK. What it is was when, and I think you guys remember, I was testifying one time when Councilmember King mentioned that I was a bit emotional because my mom had passed. My mom had Aina in Kalapana that was taken away by Tutu Pele. So that's the TMK that I listed on my application.
This is Big Island.
Correct. It has no value. It's volcano land.
Okay. Value of your interest, it has no answer. It's not, it's like an incomplete application.
No, it has no value. According to real property tax for Hawaii County, there's no value to it, so we don't pay taxes.
Because
it's volcano land.
That you own that has no value.
I personally have an interest in that along with a lot of other ohana. Yes, because it was, when it came from my great-grandmother, it went to my mom and her siblings. So therefore, it's getting passed on to all the generations.
I see. So you never lived here. You just listed it as, okay. No other questions?
Okay. Member Sinansi, second round.
Chair, you didn't have any questions?
I'm skipping mine.
Oh, okay, thank you. Just following up on Member Sugimura's line of questioning, under number 7 of the application, and I don't know if this was just a oversight, but there was no, you mentioned, or people have mentioned that you're a Navy veteran of this country, so you would have marked yes on under number 7?
That was my fault. Sorry. Kupuna maka.
Okay, so that would be
maka ani.
okay. Oh, you didn't have your glasses then.
Aye.
Okay, so that would be all yes.
Aye.
And then same question for Mr. Batangian. The next, I guess, kuleana for this council would be to vote on the mayor's Bill 9. What is your take on the short-term rentals being offline as proposed in Bill 9?
As the mayor proposed Bill 9, I'm in 100% in favor. I want it to be passed without any carve-outs, without any exemptions. Pass it clean. Because if you pass it in any other way, for me, it shows some kind of preferential treatment to whomever resides in the area that you're trying to carve out. So if you pass it clean, the STR owner wants to keep it as short-term rental, let them file. If they want to do long-term, let them file. If they want to sell, they have that option. So the onus will then be on the owner to do whatever with the property that they would want to, rather than this body or the mayor determining this and this is what's going to happen, like it or not. So I like it 100% the way it is. Thank you.
No carve-outs, you said. Okay. Thank you for that. And then the other question I asked Mr. Batangan was, the BLNR met last week on a contested case hearing, potentially for a 30-year lease to Mahi Pono. Are you supportive of the county acquiring and managing the East Maui irrigation system?
For the county to be in total control, 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Our public trust does not belong in a foreign entity. Kalamai.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. In looking at your financial disclosure, I understand you're a veteran, but it doesn't say you receive any retirement from our military. Is that accurate?
I do have Social Security and I do have a little bit of retirement.
Okay.
Little, very little.
Okay. It's not listed here, but that would make sense that you should receive something after 22 years of service, as I understand, from our military, but it's not listed, you know.
Yeah, it's not.
I understand it's probably not worth listing, but probably we could have just ate it out.
I can modify my application accordingly.
Thank you.
Sure.
How do you deal with conflict, and importantly, how do you deal with conflict resolution?
In order to deal with conflict, you have to understand where it comes from. Not only the subject itself, but the entities that are involved. Because in that understanding, then you're able to determine how it needs to be diffused.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate all of your positions held on your answer for number 7, your separate spreadsheet. Are you still active members on all of those, or are those like all the previous things? Are you still active in all 9?
What's listed is what I am active in currently.
Wow. Okay, thank you. So if they do come up, then you're going to have to recuse yourself if ever they come up?
I did seek Board of Ethics opinion on that. And Director Akataki, sorry.
Yeah.
She did say that if the appointment became approved, that we could sit down further and discuss.
Okay.
But I think for me, it would be best if I just did a clean cut.
Okay. Because 9, you're a busy lady. Good for you. That's a lot. Good. Okay. Do you plan on running for office in 2026? I understand that, but if you could please just confirm.
I have declared.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just making it super clear. Thank you.
Yes.
And how do you approach decision making? How do you find your balance in these tough decisions that we have to make, when we have to balance fiscal responsibility with economic responsibilities, with our small businesses, with our people? How do you find your balance?
Taking away what I think is right and looking at what is going to benefit the whole. Because that's what this body should be concerned about, is the whole, not your own personal agenda.
I agree with that. Thank you. I think that's it for me. Thank you, Chair. We have, never mind. We had 2 seconds, Pao. No.
Member Cook.
Thank you. What do you see as the main obstacles to provide homes for our families, as far as, and what we could do legislatively on the council to mitigate that?
What prevents our people from getting housing? lack of housing stock at most, and prevailing wages. Our people are not getting what's commensurate with our local economy. And I think we as a body here have a little bit of purview over that maybe that's a discussion that could be had.
And so as far as prevailing wages being encouraging for business in general, I mean, I hear you, like people need to be paid well. And sometimes that is enabling businesses to actually do business so they can grow and they can pay people well. I guess my second question is, what are your thoughts about housing single-family residences versus in Kahului particularly, because we've rezoned Kahumanu Shopping Center and some of the other areas that are now deemed to be more like mid-rise, 9 stories is the maximum. What are your feelings regarding single-family residences versus that new, more urbanized housing?
Density is always good, dependent on where it is. And this is just my own personal opinion, but I don't believe many of our young families nowadays want that picket fence. They just want a roof over their head. And if it means being in a 6-story apartment building, they'll take it. Yeah, because it's anything that can provide shelter for their family. So I like the picket fence. I wish I had that growing up, but my parents didn't have the funding that allowed that. And again, I do not believe that a lot of our young right now would want that. They just want a house, something they can call home.
Yeah, the security of basically having a home.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Member Johnson?
Thank you, Chair. You know, we have to deal with so many different issues when we're council members. One of the ones that are most transformative to a lot of our policies has been the fires. So I'd like to hear your opinion or any type of ideas you have on making our communities more resilient. Do you have any suggestions or any policies that you support?
In relation to the fire and to help the rebuild, you betcha I do.
All right, I'm all ears.
I believe, and I think administration was trying to work on this as far as streamlining the permitting process. What I believe would work is if every single department that had a say-so in a permit, you put every single person in a room, give them the project, and say, yay or nay, give me what's good and what's bad. Then you have the project developer or whomever it is there. They're able to hear and see everything that needs to be done, rather than going through stages of each department and saying, okay, here's my project, yay or nay. Then it gets back, they gotta change it, then go back and get another approval, right? Back and forth, that's how it works all the way up the echelon. If you put them all together, and this is just commonsensical to me, I don't know if it'll work, but I think it helps to be able to get everybody in one room, sit them down, and tell me, yes, do you like my project? No, why? How can we change it? How can we make it better?
Okay, thank you for that response. One more different question, pivoting. You ran for office 3 times. I want to know that, or I recall you talking to so many people, going to door. I'm curious of what you learned during your time campaigning. How do you carry all the different push and pulls of our community, or what everybody, all the different needs that people want? What did you learn campaigning, going door to door, and how do you address all these different needs?
So I think it was brought up in one of the testifiers that I did run 3 unsuccessful campaigns. But I will say that in 2020, when I ran, I didn't expect anything because I was a nobody, so I didn't expect anybody to know who I was or vote for me, but that was just getting my name out there. In 2022, it became popularity versus name recognition. There was 7 on the ballot. In 24, the evidence showed that I had garnered over 22,000 votes, which meant that within those 6 years, I was in the community. I was listening to them. I was talking to them. And I was asking them, how do you see this community 5 years from now or 10 years from now? What do you want to see changed? And how do you want it changed? And I think it's evident in last year's election that I was able to talk to people and bring their voice forward, which is what I'm hoping to do, if approved.
Mahalo. Thank you, Chair. No further questions.
Member Paulton.
Same disclaimer. Ready? Go. What piece of critical feedback do you receive most often?
I'm too much of an auntie and too kind and too compassionate.
What is the most difficult lesson you have had to learn thus far?
Listening. Actually listening, not just hearing, listening.
What is the farthest out of your comfort zone you have been while on the job?
That's interesting you asked that, actually. What is the most difficult position I've been in while on any job?
The farthest out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. In the military, you have to do what you're told to do, whether you like it or not. And because I spent my good majority of my life there, I didn't have a choice. I had to do what I had to do, whether I liked it or not. So furthest out, yeah. That's the best way I can answer your question.
Can you walk us through a time when you had to adapt to a major change within any of the organizations or jobs that you have done?
Having to deal with, so the reason why I moved to Maui was because of TSA. I opened up the airport with TSA. The hardest part was having to deal with people who didn't understand why TSA came about. Yeah, they knew, because of 9/11, but actually how and why the things that they had to do had to be done. So I think just trying to navigate that and explain as best possible the federal guidelines.
Okay, I got one for our friend JC Law. What's your sign?
What's my sign? Leo. Would you believe the same day as Anake Tasha?
Oh, no way.
August 14th.
Okay.
She's 5 years older than me.
Last one. Which animal would you say that you are most like?
Dolphin. You're wrong.
And that's my time. Thank you.
Vice Chair Sugimura.
Thank you. I guess one of the things that Kaunoi Batangan mentioned that he would look at it as a priority, and so did Member Kama, is Title IX. Can you say anything regarding that? Oh, I'm sorry, Title 19, not Bill 9. Title 19.
Zoning. Title 19. Total overhaul. Modernize it so we don't have to piecemeal every time a project comes through.
Okay. And in your testimony, you talked about economic generators. So can you talk about what that is to you in relationship to?
Am I going to have to give away my secrets? So one thing I was looking at, and I know this kind of piggybacks on what Mayor Charmaine Tavares had wanted, was to bring in a bowling alley. But where she wanted it, I didn't agree with the location. Where I would like to see it is at the old Borders, the old Sports Authority, because if you put it there, you can have at least a minimum of 40 lanes. You can have a snack bar that does the hot dogs and hamburgers. You can have a arcade. You can have pinballs. You can have pool tables.
Thank you. We're having too much fun. Next question.
You asked.
All right. So, as it was stated, and as you know, that that you have asked to replace Member Kama in 3 different elections, and at the ballot box, the impact was no, and Member Kama maintained her seat. So, what gives you confidence now that you should be installed into this very seat? Voters repeatedly chose to choose her instead of you.
If you're looking at the next election, I would say the makeup of the voters versus the makeup of the council. Yes, Anna K. Tasha was very much loved for everything that she stood for. Again, as I had mentioned in my opening, we differ politically, but we agree totally as Kanaka. So housing is number 1, and I will fulfill that.
Maybe another bigger question is, what do you mean by the council? What was your statement that you said? The council will remain, but the voters will differ. The electorate will differ? What did you say?
What?
Sorry if I missed it.
That council is the council that was elected when she was elected. So council remains the same. What's going to change is whomever fills her position and what they bring to the table. And so that's what I'm saying. Council will stay. I'm just going to bring different things to the table. Or Kaunoi will bring different things. Or Uncle Leo will bring different things. It's that diversity that's going to come in that will hopefully work with this council, because that's what I'm looking for, is to work with everybody here for the betterment of our community.
Oh, another angle. Thank you.
What is your greatest strength and what is your greatest weakness?
Greatest strength, I would say my compassion, having a bleeding heart, which is also my weakness. Because sometimes a lot of people like to take advantage of that bleeding heart.
Not to the point where it would interfere in your judgment on important issues, right?
No.
Okay. I'm done with my questions. Okay. Anybody else? Any final things? If not, thank you very much, Ms. Kamikona. And let's see, we have here members without objections. I'll defer these resolutions.
We have one more.
Thank you.
One more. Oh, I'm sorry. Leo, I'm so sorry. How can I ever forget my old friend?
Thank you, Carol Lee. Thank you.
Leo Koliko, please come down. This man used to work at KMVI when I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, when you were born.
Not even, huh?
And he also is at all the Bini at Ani events.
And more.
Good afternoon, Leo. Please feel free to start when you're ready on your introduction.
Good afternoon, Chairman Alice, Vice Chair Yuki, distinguished members of the County Council. First of all, I would like to, my wife and I would like to express our deepest sympathy and condolences to the family of the late Council Member Tasha Kama. I'm here today, and secondly, I would like to thank you very much, all of you, to take time in seeing me, hearing what I have to say, why I am aspiring to be a potential successor of the late Council Member Tasha Kama. My name is Virgilio Leo Agolico. I immigrated to Hawaii in 1967. From the time when I arrived in Hawaii, not too many jobs, but I dared to apply at Wailuku Sugar Company, and I was hired in the pest control department. But prior to that, basing on my educational background in banking and finance, I applied to some of the major banks, hopefully that my application would be considered. One of them was Central Pacific Bank. They replied to me after a few days that there was no opening for any kind of job. So again, let's go back. I went to Wailuku Sugar. I worked there for 6 months. Fortunately, the day I was laid off, I was sitting down in the couch, resting. What I'm going to do, I'm laid off. A telephone rang. It was Central Pacific Bank. The same day I was laid off. And they asked me if I was still interested to work for the bank based on my application. So I said, yes, sir. So coming Monday, let's review application, and we'll start it from there. Fortunately, I was hired. After 1 year of CPB job, I was drafted. So again, that's another hurdle in my life. I was at the bank, and then I was drafted. So in 1969, March of 1969, I fulfilled my military obligation. In that service, I was in the Army. I spent my basic training in Fort Ord, California at the time. And after 1 year in Fort Ord, my orders came, and it was Vietnam. One interesting that happened, after that basic training, I wasn't married yet. So I came back to Hawaii and married my wife. I was with her for 1 week. Then boom, Vietnam. That's part of my story. So to continue, when I was discharged in 1971, I went back to the bank and then hired me back. From that time, 1971, up to October 31st, 2013, I retired after 45 years of service to the bank. I'm doing a lot of community activities, not only in the Filipino community, but all over, wherever is needed. So I think with my 58 years of residency in Hawaii, especially in Maui, I think I know what is happening. I know what I can do. I watch Maui, the growth of Maui, including Kahului Industrial Area, Wailuku Industrial Area. We had only one shopping center. When I just got back from Vietnam, Queen Ka'ahuanu Center and Maui Mall were under construction. When I arrived in 1967, Maui Beach Hotel was under construction. So I think I have enough time, I had enough time in watching all the growth of Maui. You folks, members of the Maui County Council, you are doing a terrific job, but I would like to see a change of voices equalize so that we can deliver more to the people, to Maui County. I love Maui County.
Thank you, Leo. Does that conclude your introduction?
I have one more. One more that aside from Central Pacific Bank, as Council Chair Alice mentioned that I work with her at KMVI. Yes, I have a radio program until now, and that's going on for more than 50 years. Yeah, it's a community-oriented program. And I'm very thankful to Pacific Media Group because they're giving me the time to express and inform the people, not only the Filipino people, because in some other ethnic groups, I also have some listeners. So they always tell me when they see me, oh, are you the guy from the radio? Said, yes, that's me. So that's one more service that I'm rendering in the community, aside from the community services and the organizations that I'm involved in. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Leo. Member Sinensi.
Mahalo, Chair, and mahalo, Mr. Koliko.
Yes, sir.
For being here this afternoon to answer our questions. And you mentioned that you've seen Maui grow from all the way up from the 60s when you first arrived all the way to now. Can you explain or what are your two biggest issues or challenges you see Maui County facing, and how would you like to work to address them?
Well, actually, the things that I can see and facing the community at this time is, as far as the businesses, I see those businesses in these two major development, like Kahului Industrial Area and Wailuku Industrial Area. Some of those structures now are deteriorating. And also, it's good that we have the new, park close to the airport, Ponene side. And those are good that I see those things because I see some of this being deteriorating and they're moving to the new structures and new developments. So that's one thing that changed that I can see right now.
What do you, how do you feel about the new Punene Avenue expansion?
I think it's very good. I can see still a lot of traffic, but as soon as they finish, I think it will be good because I live in that area. Yeah. It will be good.
Okay, and then the next question would be on tourism. Should Maui County expand or reduce our tourism numbers?
I would like to see, depends on how we take it as residents. I read in the news, all kinds of media that, sometimes there are no, aloha is now fading, but in the other side, revenue-wise, I think tourism is very important to our Maui County.
Mahalo, Mr. Akolico. Thank you, Chair.
Member Hodgins.
Hello, Mr. Akaliko. How are you? Good to see you today. Thank you for being with us all day. I know it was a long day. Do you plan on running in 2026?
Well, that's a long set of question, but it depends on how this thing will go. I will consult with my family. How will
Got
it
it.
go?
That's a good answer. Thank you. How do you handle conflict and its conflict resolution?
I would neutralize myself as far as, so in other words, as far as the resolutions, and if I feel that a resolution is out of my range, I think I will dismiss myself for the particular resolution, and I leave it to the majority of the members, especially those who are in favor of that resolution. I may be against, I may be in favor, but to answer your question, I will dismiss myself in addressing that resolution.
Okay, thank you for that. Where do you find your balance? Again, as I asked earlier, in this job, we have to balance fiscal responsibility, the laws and our limitation of this government, environmental stewardship. Where do you find your balance in all the things that we have to do if you were selected for this job?
That is a very good question. It is hard to balance on this particular situation, but when it comes, it's up to you to balance where is it fitted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me see, where do you stand on affordable housing, Mr. Akolico?
I'm in favor of affordable housing.
Good, I like that answer, short and sweet.
Because, a lot of students, they're going out of state, and they won't come back anymore. Mm-hmm. They only come back for vacation, but I would like for them to stay and pay their dues as a Maui resident. I would like affordable housing and to have a good job, and so that they can afford to live on Maui.
Thank you for that. I know you have grandchildren, so I'm assuming you would love to spend some time with them as well, and they would need to live here in order to do that.
Yeah, I have to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Cook.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Aligo.
Akolico.
Okay. My apologies. Thank you. When you worked at the bank, what was your position?
Well, I was all over. At one time, I was a manager. I was a corporate banking officer. I was a business banker. I was a financial services. I was in the mass market because at that time when I was manager, we had only one branch on Maui. That's Kahului branch at the Kahului Shopping Center.
Thank you. So, are you familiar with like a non-warrantable loan, like a condominium? Well, I was just reading it, so I'm asking. When a condominium is under litigation, then it becomes a non-warrantable loan, which isn't qualified for conventional financing. One of my concerns with Bill 9, when there's litigation, if that's going to prevent people from being able to get mortgages to buy properties. Are you familiar with that?
I've been looking at Bill 9 from time to time, especially when I received that flyer from the county about that Bill 9. But I'm still not decided, or well, I didn't have, business to decide. But reading at it, I'm doing my analysis also. Although from the very beginning, when the things came out, I wasn't really interested until this time. So I defer my position to that to answer that question.
No problem. Thank you, sir. How do you feel about Kahului growing? Do you think that has a lot of room for growth? Is it?
It depends what we are looking for. I think there is. We still have some open fields, and I think whatever you want to use it, of course, the fields of Hawaiian Commercial Company is being used by Maipono and some other parcels being worked on by private farmers, which is good because we want to patronize the local farmers in order for us to not to buy other kind of things, especially vegetables from other places. So I think there is still room. It depends on how you acquire those land for the people, whether it's a lease or buy.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Akoliko, for putting your name forward. I know it's tough, but I really thank you for doing this. This is important work that you're here before us for. You know, I'm sorry, I didn't recall your tenant's name. She's in the audience, but I think her testimony was very powerful. You're her landlord, is that correct?
Thank you.
So
Yes.
there's other landlords that could maybe learn the lesson that you seem to have because obviously your tenant supports you. How do we help keep our places for rent affordable? And what's the secret sauce that you have your tenant come out here and give you that kind of support?
Well, I thanks my sincere appreciation to my tenant, and I think she did give a special message, and I had only one testifier, which is good to make the conversation shorter. But I think she's a good tenant, and I really appreciate her presence here today.
So
she took off from work anyway.
There's plenty of landlords out there that are charging too high rents, right? The rents are too high. What do you suggest if you were a council member? Is there laws or policies you think you could address?
There should be a ceiling,
Okay.
Charging high rent, like, for example, the tenants gotta eat too. They have utilities to pay, They have children to support. They send this school to the children. So, you cannot really charge that high.
Right. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
If you think should be a ceiling. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask for a different question now. What do you think Kahului's district is the most important need right now? What is their main need? What is it that your community needs right now?
Kahului district. Well, we have the Maui Lani, part of Kahului. We have the old increments. We have to fix the roads, especially in the older increment. Oh, it's really bumpy. So those things has to be fixed. And I think even our sewer, some of them are overflowing, and some of the streets, even a little rain, it's flooded.
So it's infrastructure then?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'm on limited time, but I want to ask one last question. So right now, a new study came out about food insecurity and food security. It turns out that across the state, Filipinos are the highest at 47% food insecure. That means they're skipping meals, they can't afford the groceries. What do you think we should be doing about that as council members?
Oh, we should give them assistance just like any other ethnic group, After all, they're by paying taxes and pay their obligations to the county, so they should be treated the same as the other ethnic groups.
Do you have any suggestions on what kind of policies we could do? Just funding food banks, or what do you think would work?
Well, funding, food bank, I think it helps, those things. If we can think of other more in the future, it would be good.
Yeah.
But for me, right now, those things help.
Okay.
Special funding,
Sure.
food bank.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your responses. Thank you, Chair.
Member Paulton.
Before they start the clock, I just want to say we only have 3 minutes in 2 rounds. So if I get the answer I need, I'm going to cut you off and ask another question, and I don't mean to be rude. Okay, you can start. So I just wanted to circle back to a question that member Uu Hodgins, like how do you deal with conflict and how do you vote? The reason why I think the charter says we have to fill this in 30 days is because with only 8 people, there could be no majority. It could be 4-4. And if you're on the floor, you have to vote. You cannot defer or not vote. The only way you not vote is don't be here. And I know you're going to show up for work, right? So then how would you make the decision? Like, what are your guiding values on how to make a controversial decision?
Oh, in that particular situation, I think we should, all the council members, whether 4-4, 9, we should put our heads together and talk, compromise. Because if we keep on deferring for that side, for this side, and Leo is not neutral, we are not going any place.
So keep talking until you know what to do?
Yes.
Okay. And then what are your expectations of a chair, whether it's the council or a committee? What do you expect out of a chair?
As a chair, the chair is the moderator, facilitator. But in a certain committee, for example, if I want to participate in the deliberation, of course you have a chair, you have a vice chair. If you want to participate, if the chair wanted to participate in the deliberation, he or she should dismiss herself, give it to the vice chair or next in line so that she can sell her proposals to be heard by the whole committee. And from that time, the report that has been generated, that transpired in the meeting, the facilitator would put it together and submit it to the higher scale of the organization.
Okay, what would you do if you were asked to solve a problem that cost $5,000, but you were only given $1,000?
Say again?
If you were asked to solve a problem that costs $5,000, but you were only given $1,000 to solve the problem?
Oh, I should go back to the budget committee if they can give some more. Yeah.
This is who you ask. Thank you.
Vice Chair Sugimura.
Thank you. Leo, I have to tell you, when I saw your name appear, I was like, and I saw him, by the way, because you're a veteran. I saw you at the Veterans Service. Mm-hmm. And, miracles. I always think of miracles, right? I told myself, okay, I got to go and talk to Leo, And we walked right into each other with umbrellas. It was raining. And I said, oh, I really want to talk to you one day, right? So this is I want to talk to you past this meeting, but I want the community to know that this is a gentleman that I respect greatly. So when I saw his name appear, I said, oh my God, I got to get to know you better. I didn't know you were a veteran. I have the greatest respect for you as a veteran. Greatest respect for veterans with all my work with Senator Inoue, Senator Akaka, and Hirono. And veterans were the group of people that I helped the most. And I understand the plight because my brother was a veteran. So I want to thank you in public. I didn't realize that until I saw it here, although I always see you at the ceremonies, right? You are my bank. And I have used CPB.
CPB is a good bank.
Very good bank. So thanks again, right? As our lives intersect. But the Filipino community, which is why I know you, And many of us have attended many of the scholarship awards or different ceremonies that you recognize those leaders in the community. And I want to say that I see what you have done, a lot like the Japanese when we were climbing and we were trying and struggling. We all pulled together and we did a lot. I like that. How can you bring this that your community does to the county to make us a stronger community?
Transparency.
Okay, wow, one word, okay. And work hard is what I see. Amazing, just an amazing community. I asked the other candidates, I think the second one I asked the question too narrow, but if you were to take the seat, what kind of county program would you, or administration program would you like to do if you sat in that seat?
You know, I should have included in my opening statement that I'm a new in politics. I have no experience in politics. I never did run for office before. The only thing that I was involved in the county was when I was appointed by the late Mayor Hannibal Tavares to sit in the Real Property Tax Board of Review. I served in that committee, that particular assignment for 5 years, and that's the only county-related activity that I was involved with.
And I will tell you, that's a very important one because that's a big part of our financial base, real property tax. So what you heard from that commission were the concerns of that. And that still is today, a viable commission. And I would be interested to know what you learned then and how you can help us now.
So I did learn a lot of things during my tenure as a member of that committee. I see these rich landowners, the hotels, they file their complaint or they file their thing on the deadline. So we almost have no time to study the things that they were presenting. So, well, anyway, they are not entitled to those petitions that we're fighting for. So we end up assigning to the court to establish or to make the decision. We cannot decide because they bring a couple of lawyers with big books. How can you read the big books in 1 day or 2 days to study what they have in the books? So those are the things that I learned, but I have a lot of aloha to all those who were members of the Board of Review at the time. All of them passed away already. Yeah, all of them, because they were way older. I'm old, but they were way older than me. So, but we did our share in serving in that particular agency.
Very important commission. So thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Second round, you want to raise your hands if you have a member, Nancy.
Thank you, Chair. For my second round opportunity, Mr. Agpuliko, we see many homeless people in Kahului in certain areas. What is your ideas about addressing the homelessness problem?
I really, I feel bad because there are lots of homeless, especially bedwetter, and they're there on the street. They need to have a shelter, no matter where they come from. I know that most of the people, this is what I heard now, I know that most of them are not from Maui, but that's besides the point. They are human beings like us. They need shelter. They need a little support. So if we have a place for them to keep themselves sheltered at night, especially at night, and especially bad weather. That should be good. But as far as the solution, I don't know. I don't have any solution except my sympathy for that kind of situation. I hope we can formalize something that will help them.
That would be a great start. Thank you for that. And then lastly, if you had any advice for the younger generation of affordability, everything is getting expensive. It's hard to purchase a home on Maui. What kind of advice would you give to the next generation?
I think if they're given the opportunity to buy a home, I know that some young people, they wanted to be independent. I want to go on my own. So, but if there's any choice, there's no choice. They should ask assistance from their parents, and they can repay them later on. But I don't know the generation now. They go to the mainland, as I've said, go to school. After the schooling is done, they won't come back. But with the assistance of their parents, maybe it's workable for them and to have an affordable housing. But the question about affordable housing now, this is one of my concerns too. I know we have some development here, affordable. It's treated as affordable. They're given so many years, 10 years, and then the value is not there yet. But when the classification is being lifted, they end up selling the property. So that's one more that is really bothering me.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Member Hudgens.
Thank you, Chair. If you could describe your perfect vision of Maui County, what does that look like for you?
Oh, Maui County. Maui Council or Maui County?
Well, we go Maui County.
Maui County.
Yeah.
Maui County is one of the best, if not the best island in the entire world.
Agreed. So if you could dream of it being perfect, do you think it's perfect now, or what would you like to see change so that we could achieve some sort of hypothetical utopia?
Well, I don't have any good answer, not good, but perfect answer to that. But it can be, as we go along, it can be worked on, or that's answer your questions.
Yeah, thank you. I really just wanted to thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome.
Member Cook.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any further questions, but very big mahalo.
Member Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. My question's been answered.
Member Paulton.
If you could chair any committee that we have, which committee would it be?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. As I mentioned earlier, I don't have any background, even in the county council. I just follow up things when it's getting hot. But you cannot really do much on that. But I can be...
versatile.
Yes, I can be being
So, and then you have clear schedule for the next year. You're available to come to all the meetings. You know, since you don't follow all the time, I need to tell you, her have kept us till midnight sometimes. So just saying you're available to do the job.
Yeah, I know. I read it in the paper from time to time, especially Yoki, text them, email left and right. But your meetings is up country. You know, it's too far for me. No, I think I am available.
So you're still in?
Yes.
Okay. And then it's one for JC. What is your astrological sign?
Scorpio. Yeah.
And what animal do you most identify with?
Dog. I have a
Great
dog, that's why.
answers. Thank you, Mr. Agkoliko.
You're welcome.
Vice Chair Sugimura?
I have the greatest respect for you. I have really no more questions. Again, I want to thank you for putting yourself out there, and I look forward to talking to you. I have your cell number. I'm going to call you. Let's have lunch one day.
But thank you so much. But before I go, I would like to mention also that in the county council, Mr. Medina was in radio, Alice Lee, Mike Molina.
Molina.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, 4 of us. Yeah.
No, well,
Medina, Mike.
Rachel, what's his name?
I come in live and direct from my house.
Yeah. So.
Kelly E. Rachel.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, he was running the Hawaiian show too. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, it's been a pleasure to see you again and hear your answers to the questions. On behalf of all the council members, I want to thank all the people that have come. Carolee Kamikona, Kaunoi Batangan, Leo Koliko. Appreciate you applying for the job, and the best of luck to all of you. Now, members, without objection, I'll defer these resolutions and recess this meeting to 9 a.m. Tuesday, November 25th.
No objections.
Oh, thank you.